Good evening. I would like to call to order our meeting today for the Allegany County Board of Education, Tuesday, February 18th at 5:01 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, at this time, Mr. Llewellyn will read closed session summaries for executive sessions held January 14th and February 12th, 11th.
The Allegany County Board of Education met in closed session at 3:30 p.m. on January 14th, 2025 at the central office. The purpose of the closed session was to consult with legal counsel, discuss two personnel matters, and engage in administrative function. All four members, then members, were present. And all four voted to go into executive session. The topics discussed were Allegany administration, Georges Creek administration, audit, out-of-state students, and superintendent search. The Board of Education met on February 11th, 2025 in closed session at 3 p.m. here at central office. All five board members were present for that and voted to go into executive session. The topics discussed were superintendent search, board email accounts, and MPIA request.
Thank you, Mr. Llewellyn. Next on the agenda, we have the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve consent agenda.
Motion by Dr. Vaughn,
Second.
second by Ms. Lepley. All those, or any questions or concerns regarding the consent agenda? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Blank, who has a few comments he'd like to start the superintendent's report with.
Yes, before we move on with the board meeting, I want to take a moment to congratulate Ms. Heidi Loppert on her retirement as of February 1st. She taught at Allegany for 9.5 years, and she was assistant principal for 21.5 years, and she was a principal for 6 years. Her whole career was at Allegany High School. We wish her the best, and I personally will miss her input, her leadership, her knowledge, and her friendship. So congratulations, Heidi, on a great career.
Thank you, Mr. Blank. We have a proclamation recognizing February as African American History Month that Ms. Lepley will present.
Whereas February 2025 has been designated African American History Month, and the Board of Education of Allegany County is honored to present this proclamation on this 18th day of February 2025 to the Allegany Chapter 7007 of the NAACP. And whereas we are committed to honoring African Americans and recognizing their contributions and accomplishments to the history and culture of the United States, and whereas this board believes the appropriate reflection it is appropriate to reflect this commitment in a proper and concrete fashion as an important month to remembrance, recognition, and education. And whereas it is a desire of the Board of Education that African Americans should be made aware of their appreciation, and whereas it is appropriate to call on all employees and the citizens of Allegany County for their support in this effort, as well as raising awareness about the issues still present in society. And whereas we do recognize the school systems are an integral part of our social and civic institutions. Therefore, the Board of Education of Allegany County does hereby proclaim February 2025 as African American History Month. And I would like to present this to Dr. Sarah Welsh.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Mr. Blank, President Bender, and members of the board. Very happily accept this on behalf of the local branch of the NAACP, and we'll be sure to pass it along to President Fisher.
Thank you, Dr. Welsh. Mr. Green now has another proclamation recognizing School Counselor Week.
Thank you so much, President Bender. I will summarize the whereas. Nonetheless, you can please read the full proclamation. I have the distinct pleasure tonight of presenting a proclamation on behalf of the board recognizing February 3rd through 7th, 2025 as National School Counselor Week. The proclamation will be presented to Dr. Sarah Welsh, Supervisor of Secondary School Counselors. The Allegany County Board of Education proclaims February 3rd through 7th, 2025 as National School Counseling Week, recognizing the vital role of school counselors in helping students thrive. School counselors assist students in achieving success, developing their strengths and talents, setting realistic goals, and exploring career development. They work with parents, teachers, and community resources to promote the personal, social, and educational growth of students, fostering a safe and respectful learning environment. The board endorses this week to honor the contributions of school counselors in shaping the future of students. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Green, and the board. We absolutely appreciate, and I'm thrilled to take this on behalf of our amazing school counseling staff. They truly are the glue that holds our schools together, and there's such a critical role to keep our students safe and healthy and learning. So we appreciate this acknowledgement.
Thank you. One more proclamation Dr. Bond has for the Career and Technical Education Month.
So, Mr. King, on behalf of the board, I could read all this, but what I'd like to say is, as a single member of the board, I really appreciate from where I started 6 years ago on the board to how much effort and work you've put into the Career Center and how well the students have performed in all the competitions, both locally and statewide. I know some have even gone to national competitions over the past 6 years. So with that said, the proclamation goes on and says how wonderful all that stuff is, but we've seen it. So with that being said, I'm sure everybody on the board appreciates the work you and your team out there has put forth. So thank you. Congratulations and thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Bond. Also, thank you, Mr. Blank and the rest of the elected board members for recognizing the Career Center with this proclamation during CTE month here in February. As Dr. Bond indicated, our teachers do work very hard in preparing our students for competitions, whether it's regional, state, national. We've had a number of students going to national competitions. Not only do our skill teachers work very hard, but our academic teachers with our students help them prepare for the real world coming down the road once they graduate. So if I could put one little plug in for the Career Center this Thursday, February 20th, we are having an open house at the Career Center from 4 to 6. That is open to the public. Anybody can come. Any students with parents interested in attending the Career Center over the next couple of years, please, you're welcome to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Moving on, we have an instructional update from Dr. Caldwell. Is she? There she is.
Good evening. Tonight I'd like to give you an overview of our high school programs of study for spring scheduling for the 25-26 school year. And you can go ahead. Are you on the slides? Oh, perfectly. Okay, so the first area I'd like for you to look at is the Career Center. The Career Center is a gem. It's one of the best kept secrets that I wish all the students knew about. At the Career Center, there are 14 different career and technical areas for our students. Many of our Career Center programs offer internships for the students. We have organizations like Future Business Leaders of America, Skills USA, and students get to compete at local, state, and even on the national level in these organizations. We have our P-TECH program, which it started in 2017, highly successful, done in the IT networking career area, where the students can earn a 2-year degree in cybersecurity before they graduate from high school. And then we have a manufacturing engineering technology program where students can earn up to 39 college credits during high school as well. And finally, we have our AMP program, Apprenticeship Maryland, and that's where students can work and earn at the same time. So they can be involved in an apprenticeship where they are paid and to where they get 450 hours of work-based learning at the Career Center. I'd also like to just talk to the students and parents about our expansion of the ag program at our school. We have an ag program in grades 9 through 12. Students can earn career and technology education certification, And they can do this by taking a certain course load. They have to take 3 courses. Those courses are Intro to Ag and Natural Resources, Animal Vet Science, and then Plant Science and Greenhouse Operations. If students don't want the CTE certification, they can take the Ag courses for elective credit. And then there's a new course that I'm happy to talk about today. It's called Agricultural Science and Operations. It's a capstone course. It's a full-year run credit course. And students can take this. It's kind of like an independent study or an independent project. So they can do it related to their knowledge and skills base. They can do some kind of practice under their teacher's guidance in the 11th and 12th grade. And this also fulfills our students to be able to take an Ag course in grades 9 through 12 and be part of the FFA, Future Farmers of America. So that adds to our courses for the Ag. So any student interested in that, please talk to your school counselor about that. I talked to you earlier in the year about our Advanced Placement Program expansion. So I'm just going to briefly say that we are on board to expand our AP. We are going to use the Maryland AP option. And this will allow students to take up to 5 AP courses and become a Maryland AP completer for that. So you can move to the next slide. Just talk to you briefly about the AP Scholar Awards. So the AP Scholar Awards recognize the students who do outstanding achievement on the AP exams. And there's 3 levels of distinction for this. There is a designation as an AP Scholar. Then there is one AP Scholar with honors, and then there's the highest level, which is AP Scholar with distinction. And so all of these distinctions are based on the number of courses the student takes. The AP Scholar, 3 courses, but you have to have a certain score. AP with honors, 4 courses or more with a certain score. And then AP Honors with distinction, 5 courses at least with a certain score to get that distinction. So you can move to the next slide there. And just to note one thing, we look at data all the time with our AP programs, our dual enrollment programs, and so forth. So last year, and this is lag data from 2024, we had 20 students in the county who met the distinction of AP Scholar. 3 courses or more with that score necessary. 9 students with the AP Scholar with honors, and we had 16 students with the highest designation of AP Scholar with distinction. I also want to mention that in ACPS, we've had a multi-year overall upward trend with our overall scores on AP exams, with students, the percentage of our students in the districts getting a score of 3 or higher. That has been an upward trend in our high schools for several years now. And we credit that with several years ago when we requested that we could have a final classroom exam in the AP classes that would be worth 10% of the student's grade. And we have found a nice correlation between that final exam that they have to study for and then their subsequent performance on the actual AP exam itself. So the AP placement options there, we have 3 different pathways that we've mentioned before. We have a general pathway, which is a combination of any 4 courses within at least 2 content areas. So students could take the general pathway in the arts, computer science, English, world language, math, science, humanities. And then we have the 2 other pathways, which are the STEM pathway. So they have to have at least 2 courses in a math, AP courses, and 2 in science. Or they can take the humanities pathway, which is at least 2 courses in English and 2 courses in social studies. All of them need at least 5 AP courses to be part of the Maryland AP option program. So I'd like to just speak for a moment about our dual enrollment expansion pilot. As part of the Maryland Blueprint for Implementation, we are expanding dual enrollment from just grade 12 to grade 11, other than our specialized programs that we offer already. And this is going to be an accelerated program for our high-achieving students who have strong attendance. So if students meet certain eligibility parameters, they can actually begin taking their dual enrollment college courses in grade 11 and could potentially, if they take a strong enough load, earn a 2-year degree by the time they graduate from high school. They don't have to. They can choose to take just 1 or 2 courses, but they can take up to a full course load of 12 credit hours a semester if they choose to do so, and they feel that they can be successful with that. And we are going to continue to offer the Bobcat Academy through FSU. If you remember, we piloted the Bobcat Academy for grade 11 this year. We felt it was very successful. Of the students taking the Bobcat Academy in grade 11, all of the students earned a C or higher in all of their courses, with the exception of 1 student, and several of those students maintained an A average as grade 11 students. So we feel our accelerated students, our high achieving students, can be very, successful. They were actually on the FSU campus full time. So I really feel that was very successful for them. And I want to credit Tim Murphy at Allegany High School for providing a lot of guidance and support to those grade 11 students that were in that program. So the last slide is on our spring scheduling timeline. It's a very heavy scheduling timeline. Right now, our school counselors are visiting all the classrooms in grades 9 through 11 and even in grade 8 in the middle school. And they're talking to our students about these types of academic opportunities that they have. They'll be talking to them about the Career Center. They'll be talking to them about the different completer programs like ag and biomedical science. And so they'll be talking to them about dual enrollment in AP. And then our students in late February will begin to get online to select their courses for the next academic school year. March, there'll be meetings with students on their 4-year plan. The school counselors will meet with them, go over their 4-year academic plan with them. And then in the latter part of March, the principals and school counselors will come over here for their schedule builds. And that's where we'll look at our course offerings, how many students are interested in those courses, and then we'll align our staffing with that as well during these schedule builds. And then the last thing I just want to mention is next month I hope to give you some information on a pilot we did this year. It was a college orientation program called Habits for Success through Allegheny College of Maryland. And we got the data back on that and had a meeting on that last week, and it was very successful, the number of students who took the course and the number of students who did really well in the course. So I'll give you that data next week. So that's it for program of study, unless you have some questions that you want to ask.
I have a few comments, but no questions today for you. I just want to say first, I am continually impressed by the diversity and rigor of the programs of study that we offer our high school students. I remember, when I graduated from high school in 2009, we had AP courses. The year after, my wife was at Fort Hill and she had early college courses. And now we have dual enrollment. And some of the numbers you shared with me and you shared with the board earlier in September of this past year are, I think, around 600 AP students in the county, around 1,000 dual enrollment students. And I just want to thank all of the teachers, staff, and administrators who make that possible. I also want to underscore that this really is one of the crown jewels of our local education system. The Bobcat Academy, as you mentioned, at FSU is a prime example, allowing students to earn college credits at no cost, saving families thousands, and reinforcing that education is a powerful equalizer. And I can tell you in my own personal experience, it saved me thousands of dollars at university. It saved my wife thousands. It really does make higher education or career, if you're going down the career training path, so much more attainable. So again, I don't think a presentation alone can capture the immense work that goes into these offerings, but I want to acknowledge and thank everyone who plays a role in making them possible. Thank you so much, Dr. Caldwell.
Sure. Thank you.
Any other questions for Dr. Caldwell or comments? Okay, thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Moving on to unfinished business, we have a second reading of the food services policy. Mr. Llewellyn.
So this is the food service policy EF. This is second reading. We're adding just one sentence to the bottom of the policy. And then later in the meeting, under new business, you're going to be reviewing a brand new regulation to accompany that. And this simply adds civil rights language to the policy as requested by USDA.
Is there a motion regarding policy EF?
Motion to approve policy EF.
Motion by Ms. Lepley,
Second.
second by Mr. Green. Any other questions? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. And next we have Mr. McKenzie and our budget priorities.
Good evening. So before you this evening are your draft budget priorities. These priorities become the backbone of our budget and provide guidance and insight into what the superintendent and staff should be focusing on relative to the development of the new budget for next year. So in no particular order, you'll see before you the priorities: maintain and enhance resources and programs for early childhood development utilizing various funding streams and/or reallocation of facilities where possible. Maintain and enhance student safety and mental health by providing appropriate worker support and specialized programming based upon demonstrated student need and increasing school safety where possible, considering local law enforcement recommendations in the Maryland Center for School Safety Policies and Regulations. Making every effort to provide employees with cost-effective negotiated benefits, including salary and health insurance that incorporate changes established by the Blueprint for Maryland's Future and provides pay increases where possible. And lastly, provides summer educational support programs across all grade levels in addition to credit recovery. So at this point, are there any amendments or changes to those priorities? No? Okay. As I previously mentioned, there's still a great many moving parts. In Annapolis, we're about halfway through the session, so I don't really have a great picture yet of what revenues are going to look like. One thing to keep in mind, though, as I've shared in the past, revenues and expenses have to match. So just kind of keep that in mind. We must have a balanced budget. So much more to consider relative to that in the very near term. So any questions?
I believe we need a motion to approve the budget priorities.
Motion to approve the budget priorities?
Second.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Green, second by Dr. Bond. Are there any questions or concerns regarding the budget priorities? Okay, all those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. McKenzie. Thank you for the work you put in to get all this ready for us. Okay, at this time, we will move into our public comment portion of the meeting. As a reminder, all topics that are excluded from discussion are individual personal issues, comments identifying individual students or staff members, matters that are on appeal or may be appealed, topics for which the board schedules formal public hearings or advertising or solicitation of products. And we do ask that you please keep comments to 5 minutes per individual. First on our list, we have Mr. Babbo.
Good evening. I'm sure most of you know about me, know about my story. I'm here because I don't know, I hope you feel it meet your guideline. My son has served his suspension. Everything is been done. He's been back in school. The suspension is over. I sent an email out. I never got a response. I mean, I think as a citizen of this county who pay taxes, when I need an information about my son, I should get an email back or an email acknowledge that, hey, you sent an email, we will get back to you. I never got anything back.
Are you? Okay.
Sure. Mr. Babbo, I did receive your email. It came to myself and the head of supervisor of athletics.
Yeah.
Got it Friday at 2 o'clock. I wanted to check with the school and then get back to you. We weren't open yesterday.
Yeah, but I understand. But it would be nice that somebody say, hey, we got your email. We will check into it, and we will get back to you. But my question is that at this point, what is even to check about? When I received the suspension of my son, all I was told, your son is suspended for 60 school day. That's all I was told. The 60 suspension school day is over. So,
Not to interrupt you, I don't believe that's an issue that any of the board members can answer. I do think you're probably going to have to talk with Mr. Blank, perhaps after the meeting, directly regarding this. We're not involved in anything with athletics, so we won't have an answer as board members for you.
Yeah, I can meet with you right It's fine.
Next up, we have Ms. Carmen Jackson.
Hi, thank you. I'm here in support of of Serge. And this has been a very stressful situation. As he said earlier, his son is back in school, which is great.
Mrs. Jackson, I'm going to intervene and just advise the board. Your policy specifically excludes public comment on personal individual student issues. This would be an issue most appropriately raised at the school level or with the superintendent directly if that's where things lie. So my advice is that to the extent that the further testimony here is about an individual issue, that this isn't the appropriate venue and it's out of order and should stop.
Okay, if this is an inappropriate venue, then I would like to ask that we have an actual meeting set up immediately, not weeks later. This issue needs to be resolved.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Ms. Jackson. It's just, this is a public school board meeting. Individual student issues should be taken care of at the local school level. So, this could be taken care of either through the principal or I believe Mr. Blank said he's willing to have a meeting immediately after this meeting. So, I think that would be the appropriate space for that, not a public board meeting.
Okay, well, at this point, I'm trying to prevent this from ending up in the newspaper, a big community involvement, and I just want to put that on the table. This needs to be settled. It needs to be settled immediately.
I have something. When you say this is a public meeting, I understand, but the board governs the school. So when somebody in Allegany County blackmail a coach that, hey, Jeremiah Bible should not be in the basketball team, the board should know that. The board should know what's going on behind closed door. So it might not be, this might be personal or that I will meet with Mr. Blank, but I think as a board member, you guys should know what's going on behind closed door.
You are welcome to stick around. We don't have a really heavy agenda moving on after public comment, and Mr. Blank is prepared to talk with you, and we're advised to leave it at that for now. We do have one signed up before you, Ms. Frazier, if that's okay. Next on the list is Mr. Taylor.
Well, would you like to have her?
It's at whatever you all are comfortable with. She's right after you.
Good evening, board members. I appreciate the opportunity to address you tonight. I don't need specific details because I know that it would be against the rules, but I just want the board to know that I filed 3 complaints on January the 4th. The superintendent as well as the information officer called me to let me know that they received those complaints, which I appreciated, on the 9th. And I haven't heard anything back then, and I've even escalated
Ms.
one
Bender,
up
again,
to the board.
Point of order. Ms. Frazier, I believe you filed appeals yesterday
No,
on these issues.
no, sir.
No, we received a request for a formal appeal yesterday.
Yes, that was yesterday, but I just want the board to know that I filed on January the 4th. I received a confirmation on the 9th, and I have been trying to follow up since the 9th to receive some type of response and guidance on my
ma'am,
next step.
that is the content of your appeal, which the board will hear through the appeal process. You've started that process, so there's a process and policy. The board will, and by state law that you've started, and so the board, you're going to get correspondence related to that appeal process, and the board hears your appeal. It's not appropriate for the board to hear your appeal in this public meeting.
I don't want to give any specifics to my appeals. I just want the board to know that I filed on the 4th of January.
Yeah, that's
I
the
received
specifics you emailed about the
confirmation on
appeal,
9th.
ma'am.
And
So-
it's beyond the 30-day time frame, and no one has followed up to give me a meeting or anything in writing so that I could follow the policy and formally appeal to the board. So
We did receive it yesterday, and the process from here, Mr. Llewellyn will contact you to set up how the appeal is going to work from this point. It was received yesterday.
Just prior to, I just want you guys to know prior to.
All that
I'm
is-
supposed to have come to you before 30 days, and I couldn't because no one would respond. That's all I
No,
just
you're
wanted
fine.
you
We
to know.
have it, and you'll be getting contacted regarding the actual appeal process from this point forward.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
May I give you a copy of the letter that Serge wrote on behalf of his son?
Mr. Taylor, you are next.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name for the record is Ed Taylor Jr., and I'm here tonight before you as president of a longstanding historical organization here in Allegany County entitled the Cumberland Historic Cemetery Organization Incorporated. I've been president of this organization for many, many years. I've seen mayors, senators, Board of Education members, superintendents come and go, and we've dealt with a variety of issues. The reason I'm here tonight representing mainly our board of directors is that one of the staples of the Cumberland Historic Cemetery Organization that we've been very concerned about, not just locally but nationwide, is historic revisionism. In other words, erasing history that individuals do not agree with. History is history, whether you like it or not. There's some fascist parts of it that I don't like, too bad. But our great American history and heritage is just that, and it needs to be taught factually, not opinionatedly. And over the years, I've seen many superintendents, as I said, come and go, and Mr. Blank, you're by far the best we've ever seen, and I truly hate to see you go. But we understand that's going to happen soon, and we're concerned over who the next superintendent would be. I want to give you a very brief example of what I'm talking about with the Board of Education with historic revisionism. Back around 2010, 2011, our organization took it upon ourselves, with the permission of multiple school principals in this county, to donate copies of the 1796 George Washington Stewart painting. This is a copy of an original painting, 7 foot by 12 foot, which many presidents, both Democrat and Republican, have stood in front of to address the nation on a variety of issues over the many years. And we donated this particular one because we thought it was most historically appropriate to go in the Allegany County school system. In the middle of these pictures, and the two schools in particular I'm going to talk about are the two middle schools, Washington and Braddock Middle School. We donated the pictures. We paid a fortune to have them framed. The staff at the schools thought they were wonderful, and they hung them in the offices. And at the very bottom, we had donate, and the reason why I'm bringing this up at this period, in a couple of days, will be our great first president's birthday, February 22nd, and we would always donate them on his birthday. And at the bottom, we would have donated by the Cumberland Historic Cemetery Organization, whatever the date was, the particular year, and we would have our corporate seal that I wear on my lapel. This seal is double the size of the seal that was at the bottom of the painting, so you can imagine how small it would be. And probably not one of you there can really see what's on that seal. It's a scene of a cemetery up in North Cumberland. And when you look at an old cemetery, you're going to see some crosses on a monument. Well, Dr. David Cox, one of our former superintendents, who I had no love for at all, thank God he's gone, he went and had these frames taken apart and a piece of cardboard glued over that seal. When I questioned him in a public meeting, why? Because it had a cross on a gravestone. That is a perfect example of the extremism that we have had in past superintendents. And I truly hope you will vet the next superintendent that we won't have that kind of garbage again. Because that is, it's a crime against our country, and it's truly a crime against our students when we are that fanatical and extreme, and we have a superintendent like that in Allegany County. My recommendation is that you certainly pick some. We have a lot of great teachers and principals from within Allegany County. We don't need people from out of the area. So that's my 2 cents, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Are there any board member comments or responses? Okay, we will move on to new business. We have considering the regulations for food service policy file EF. Mr. Llewellyn.
So this is a regulation. The board, for the new board members, regulations are simply reviewed. They're the superintendent's regulation, and unless you vote to reject it or send it back to policy committee, then it becomes regulation. So this is a review. This regulation, again, was a requirement of USDA for our food service program, that we have a civil rights complaint procedure in policy. And so this is the procedure outlined. And so if the board takes no action, then it just becomes policy.
Are there any questions regarding the regulations? Okay, we will move on to considering the MABE superintendent search proposal, and Mr. Owen will start.
Board members, as you know, one of your most important tasks as a board is to select a superintendent. You're, as a board, a member of the Maryland Associations of Boards of Education, and one of the services that MABE offers is consultant services to help you go through the process of choosing a superintendent. As I've discussed with you, that is a monumental task. It's likely a national search for the board, and MABE has a ton of experience doing it. They've got a structure and a program. In response to our request, MABE provided a superintendent search proposal that I passed along to you, and there is attached to that a letter of agreement that's pretty simple. It's one page, but allows for us to pay them, which they then in turn pay consultants to help us. And the process of choosing the superintendent, obviously, in the end, it's your job, nobody else's, to pick who the superintendent will be. So I've reviewed the agreement, and it's my advice that the board elect to work with MABE, have MABE assist you in this process, and that you approve the agreement. If you approve it, I would like the motion to be that you approve the agreement and you approve your president executing that agreement on the board's behalf. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, do we have a motion regarding the superintendent search? Dr. Bond?
Well, I'd like to throw my 2 cents in first, because I usually don't, but I'm going to make a motion.
I was just trying to keep to the order, okay?
It's on the agenda, so you can do it.
So as the only person sitting at this table who's been through a superintendent search, I'd just like to say that I'm glad that I'm able to make this motion for the board, because I hate to say it, but you will be hard to replace. But despite all our bickering at times and joking, he's been a fantastic superintendent. So with that said, I'd like to make a motion to approve the MABE contract to do the superintendent search for us, because it is an incredibly in-depth procedure to go through. And we tried that once on our own, and it just didn't work out so well. And secondly, with that motion for our president to be our correspondent or our lead of the spear, so to speak, going forward.
Thank you, Dr. Bond. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Upley. Any other comments, questions?
Kind of point of order, Mr. Llewellyn. Can I share a few details about kind of the cost that we estimate here, just for public awareness? Okay. This is obviously something that we've already gotten, we've had public comment on, we've had people reach out to us for additional information. So I want to talk a little bit about what it's going to cost and why this is, in my opinion, a good deal for Allegany County. MABE's total fee for the superintendent search will not exceed $23,000 plus expenses. In doing my own private research on this, any professional search firm would require both a base fee and these same additional expenses. Based on that, having a retained search firm, commonly used for senior level positions like this, typically charge 30 to 35% of the candidate's first year total compensation. So that would, at least on the low end, be about $60,000. Versus the 23,000 plus expenses that we're going with here. I don't think we could even use a contingency search firm, but they charge 20 to 30. So again, minimum of about 40,000 on the low end. I want to talk briefly about some of the expenses that MABE has presented to us. It's also been very detailed and professional in the way they presented these. Additional expenses we might incur include consultant travel, accommodations, and meals, ranging between $2,000 and $6,000, depending on the frequency of travel. Job listings and advertisements. This includes national education publications such as EdWeek, as well as the School Superintendents Association and MABE, ranging from $1,400 to $2,900. Any travel and accommodations for the board and candidates. Criminal background checks totaling $200 per candidate per state. Design and printing of recruitment brochures, $250 to $1,000. And again, no one can tell the future based on these numbers, but I would expect, probably $30,000 to $50,000 based on these estimates. So again, considerable savings both versus a headhunter, for lack of a better word. The other thing I want to reiterate is something that Dr. Bond mentioned, which is MABE's not only, incredibly highly experienced, having conducted multiple successful searches across Maryland, but also, again, have a competitive price. Additionally, we found that at least 2 other localities, Queen Anne's and Worcester counties, are also conducting superintendent searches right now, and Baltimore City may soon be as well. They are considering a temporary contract there. So again, I also want to provide some reference there about how this could impact, in my opinion, this is not the opinion of the board, the superintendent search. So first, it could, of course, mean increased competition for qualified candidates, potential delays in the hiring process, impacts to compensation packages or costs for advertising and recruitments, and the potential for a shallower talent pool. On the other hand, I think this also presents a unique opportunity to attract candidates seeking all of the things that Allegheny County offers: a smaller, community-focused district with very few problems, and again, a beautiful place to live and work. So all of that is to say, just thought that, in being transparent, wanted to share those additional details, and that concludes my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Green. I just wanted to point out, because we did receive some questions, by hiring MABE, the board is still responsible for hiring the superintendent. This process is very much to assist us with developing a timeline, application processes, the advertising, some of the things Max mentioned, the vetting process. So this is still our decision. We just need assistance moving forward and how much it is to handle. So just wanted to put that to rest. We have received some questions, but it's still a local decision as to who we hire. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Now it's time for an update from our student member of the board, Ms. Aowen.
Okay, one of the big things happening is we have our youth summit coming at Allegany College, where students can come and present amazing community service things they've been doing in their schools, and just other organizations in the community can come and present those and just show our students amazing opportunities they can have with helping their community. That will be on February 25th. The next thing we have is our Ocean City Conference that will be happening. This will be happening March 11th through 12th, so I will not be here for the next meeting because I will be going to Ocean City for that trip. It'll be quite fun. I've never been, so I'm pretty excited. And then lastly, I just have to say we've been planning our next GA. That will be on April 9th, and it will be really fun. I believe we are having it at Washington. So that's all the news I really have today. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a busy few weeks coming up. Do we have any board member updates? Mr. Green?
Yep. So for context, on Tuesday, February 4th, the local advisory council for career and technical education met at the Allegheny College of Maryland. I previously served as a voting member of that board through involvement at ACM, but this past month I transitioned to a non-voting member to represent the Allegheny County Board of Education. This change allows me to ensure that the council's recommendations are effectively communicated and implemented within our schools. Mr. Blank has also been attending those, so thank you very much there. I just want to provide a few things that were shared there, helpful information for all of us. First, on industry recognized credentials and blueprint implementation, Misty Kubich from the Western Maryland Consortium, who supports implementation for Garrett, Allegheny, and Washington counties, provided an overview of Pillar 3 of the blueprint, which aims to have students career and college ready by the end of the 10th grade. This includes pathways such as early college, AP courses, or rigorous education leading to industry recognized credentials. Essentially, I want to talk a little bit about the IRCs real quick. Each local education agency must apply through the state for approval of IRCs, and they have to meet certain criteria. Once they're approved in the state, anybody can use them. ACPS has requested approval for an IRC related to incident response, which I believe is recognized by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. So we'll see how that's updated. I want to provide why these IRCs are really important. According to Mr. Brewer, who of course helps to supervise CTE here in Allegheny County, we have a goal of having 45% of high school graduates complete a registered apprenticeship or another industry-recognized credential by the 2030-31 school year. Currently, only 26% of ACPS students are enrolled in CTE programs, making the expansion of IRCs essential to reaching that target. So this will continue to be a focus for us. I have no concerns about the path that we're on. I think everyone that's here has done an incredible job. A few other things that were shared, just again, helping to spread the good work that we're doing here at ACPS. Brianne Dietry, the ACPS Coordinator for Workforce Development and Apprenticeships, and Ryan Mowry, a career coach at Braddock Middle School, gave a presentation on our career awareness field trips for the Braddock Middle School blueprint. Those were what we had an update on, I think, during last month's meeting, which was great. They also offered some other work that's being done in other schools, just at a high level. There's a pilot program to expand awareness of agricultural careers at Washington Middle. Mount Savage and Westmar are featuring community guest speakers, so bringing people directly into the classroom to talk to them about their careers and how they can support those. And then in high school, where the staff has been focused on ninth grade transition and some curriculum-based field trips, as well as college visits to ACM, FSU, Potomac State, and Garrett College. Just again, underscoring the work that's going on in our LAC. That's all I have.
Any other board member updates? Okay, one announcement for the public. Our April meeting has been moved up 1 week to the first Tuesday of the month, so our April meeting will be on Tuesday, April 1st. And we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lepley. All those in favor? Okay, thank you all. Have a good evening.